Let's start LG P880 disassembly. Separate the cover battery using the groove at the bottom. Separate the battery using the groove at the bottom. Undo 10 screws. Press the 8 points holding the rear hooks and separate the rear from the front. Apply a pincet to the upper right end of the main antenna and pry it up slightly. Then, separate the main antenna using the gap at the bottom. Separate it from right to left. Undo 2 screws, M 1.4 times 2.5 times D 2.7, T 0.4 at the bottom of the main speaker. Separate the main speaker. Use a pincet to separate the mic rubber seated at the lower right part. Use a pincet to separate the home key, side key dome sheet. To separate the main PCB, remove the connector, VT camera, main camera, LCD, touch window, ear jack, coaxial cable, lower F Pcb. Undo 1 screw, M 1.4 times 3.5 times D 2.7, T 0.6, seated at the right side of the receiver bracket. Lift the bottom of the main PCB slowly. For caution, do not break the cable between the motor and the sub-PCB. To remove the PCB, use a pincet to separate the receiver bracket if it is not separated. Grab the bottom of the ear jack F Pcb and lift it up to separate the ear jack. Use a pincet to separate the cap sensor rubber. For caution, hold the rubber part only, so that the window printing at the bottom of the cap sensor rubber is not peeled off. Hold the bottom side of the 8 mega camera F Pcb and lift it up to separate the camera. Use a pincet to separate the gasket at the top of the part the 8 mega camera is seated on. Use a pincet to remove the insulator from the LCD F Pcb. Use a pincet to remove the gasket from the LCD F Pcb. Undo one screw, M 1.4 times 1.5 times D 2.7, T 0.4, holding the lower F Pcb. Use a pincet to remove the gasket from the top I/O. Remove the lower F Pcb connector from the frame fitting part. Separate the copper with a pincet from the bottom of the lower F Pcb. Use a pincet to remove the insulator from the top of the coaxial cable. Then, separate the coaxial cable. Before separating the frame, attach a tape to the home key side key part. Keys may break loose while separating the frame, which may cause scratches to the window. Open the front with both thumbs, unhook it, and press the boss part at the bottom of the front to unhook the other spot. Press the boss part in order of right and left. Put a finger into the gap opened at the bottom of the frame. Hold the frame with the other hand on both sides. Then, separate the frame from the front. Pass the touch FPCB through the hole at the top of the frame and separate it. Separate the lower FPCB from the bottom of the frame. Separate the LCD F Pcb from the frame. Apply a pincet to the bottom, making sure the frame sus part does not tamper with the LCD F Pcb. Then pry up the F Pcb. Pass the LC F Pcb through the frame hole. Push up the top end of the LCD slowly and separate it. For caution, the bottom end of the LCD is fixed with a tape. Do not try to separate the LCD at once. Otherwise, the LCD may be damaged. Apply a pincet vertically to the rear side of the VT camera. Then, separate it while pushing it. Pushing the camera with the edge of the pincet may cause damage to the camera. Be careful. Separate the mic rubber from the top of the frame. Remove the tape holding the power and side keys and remove the keys. Do not cause any scratches to the inner side of the window. To separate the sub-PCB, remove the connector first. Separate the shield can after removing the connector. Use a pincet to separate the shield can. Now remove the window. Hold both sides of the injection molding and separate the window from the front. Separate the left, right sides and then pry up the top end. Be careful not to cause damage to the touch window FPCB. Separate the deco sus from the window. Be careful not to cause scratch to the deco sus. That's all for LG P880 disassembly. Let's start LG P880 assembly. Fit the touch window to the front. Fit the touch window FPCB into the front molding. Assemble the keys using the tape holding the power side keys. Fit the side key. Make sure the side of one bulge faces upward. Attach the deco sus, receiver deco, to the window. Do not cause scratches due to the pincette edge. The top sides of the deco and the front are the guides for assembly. Fold the VT camera FPCB backward once, and then fit it vertically to the frame guide. Fit the lower FPCB to the bottom of the frame. Fold the lower FPCB outward, and then fit it to the frame guide. Fit the LCD to the frame. Pass the Lcd F Pcb through the frame hole, and then fit the LCD. Fit the Lcd F Pcb to the Lcd F Pcb guide attached to the rear side of the frame. Here, make sure the Lcd F Pcb does not sit on the frame sus bending part. Pass the touch window FPCB through the hole at the top of the frame and fit it to the front from the top of the frame. Once the frame is fitted, hook it with both hands. Attach the gasket to the right side of the Lcd F Pcb. Fit the gasket by overlapping the gasket seated on the top of the LCD with the frame sus. Attach the insulator onto the Lcd F Pcb gasket. Make sure the insulator covers the entire face of the gasket. Fit the cap sensor rubber to the guide hole. Fit the ear jack to the cap sensor rubber. Make sure the sensor part is properly fitted inside the cap sensor rubber. Fit the 8 mega camera to its place. Attach the gasket to the top of the 8 mega camera. Attach the gasket to the top of I/O. Make sure the gasket touches the top of the I/O to the frame sus. The insulator seated at the rear of the gasket should mask the I/O hole. Fit the coaxial cable connector to the lower FPCB connector, and then to the frame guide. Attach the insulator to the top of the coaxial cable. Fit the copper to the frame. Fit the copper hole to the frame guide rib. The copper should be attached to the frame sus side. Fit the lower FPCB. Fix one screw, M1.4 times 1.5 times D2.7 T04, holding the lower FPCB. Fit the mic rubber to the bottom. Fit the main speaker and fix two screws, M1.4 times 2.5 times D2.7 T0.4. Fit the main antenna and fix two screws, M1.4 times 2.5 times D2.7 T0.6. Fix the main PCB to the sub-PCB. Fit the sub-PCB connector first, and then the shield can to the clip. Fit the shield can to the PCB. Fit the mic rubber at the top. Fit the main PCB. Make sure these parts are not pinned at the bottom of the PCB. Add the VT camera, 8M camera, LCD, touch window, lower FPCB, coaxial cable connector, fit the motor to the insulator attached side by winding the wire twice. Fit the receiver wire without winding it. Fix the screw for holding the receiver bracket. Use a pincette to fit the power key, side key dome sheet. To fit the dome sheet, make sure it is fixed inside the guide rib, so that no bad feeling on clicks will happen. Fit the rear in order of the upper right, left ends, and press the hooks with hands. Fix 8 screws, M 1.4 times 2.5 times D 2.7 T 0.6 to the rear. Fit the battery from top to bottom. Fit the cover battery. Press the power key at the top for a while until the power is turned on. That's all for LG P880 assembly.